All right, we're ready to get started here. We're going to try to keep this right at about 30 minutes. So good afternoon and welcome to the webinar. I'm Nancy Houghton, the Marketing Director here at Viking. Thanks for joining us for this presentation on new advancements in corrosion-resistant sprinkler applications. To find out about our future webinars or other training opportunities, stay tuned to your email announcements and social media channels from Viking, or you can visit vikinggroupinc.com/webinars. Our presentation today will last about 30 minutes, and following the presentation, we'll have time for a few questions. You can submit your question at any time by using the Q&A window in the lower right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. Following the presentation, you will receive an email that will include links related to the webinar, along with a copy of today's PowerPoint presentation. Today's presentation is all about corrosion resistance. We'll talk about different types of corrosion-resistant sprinklers and where they can and should be used. Additionally, we'll review Viking's newly introduced stainless steel pendant sprinkler with a fusible link, the first of its kind in the industry. Our presenter today is Gregg Vlahakis, who's part of the business development team here at Viking. A professional in the fire sprinkler community for 37 years, Gregg spent the first part of his career on the contracting side of the industry before joining Viking in 1999. During his tenure with Viking, he served in several capacities, including territory manager and national technical representative. As part of the Viking business development team, he works with contractors, engineers, and end users to advise on current building and NFPA codes and provide information about the latest technologies in the fire protection industry. Gregg is an active association member as well. He currently sits on the NFPA 140 committee and is a professional member on the national level for FFPE. Thanks for being with us today, Gregg. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you for that nice introduction, Nancy, and thanks to everyone attending today's webinar. All right. So I'm going to go over the various types of, as Nancy mentioned in the announcement, the way you approach the different corrosion environments and the selection process that you want to follow when selecting the proper sprinkler for that use in that environment. Corrosion-resistant sprinklers are designed to resist exterior elements that attack a standard brass sprinkler. NFPA 25 defines corrosion-resistant sprinklers as a sprinkler fabricated with corrosion-resistant materials or with special coatings or platings to be used in an atmosphere that would normally corrode a sprinkler. You'll find these references in both 25 2017 edition and NFPA 13 2016 edition. Corrosion-resistant sprinklers are available in different corrosion resistance. The corrosion resistant required is determined on the corrosive environment that they are to be installed in. Several sprinklers on the market today are available with a variety of finishes that are only UL listed or FM approved as a standard brass, painted, or plated ornamental finish only, and not listed or approved for the use in corrosive environments. So it's very important that you look for the approvals for that finish when you are selecting that sprinkler for that application. Just because it has a pretty finish on it does not necessarily mean that it has met the approval standards by UL or FM for the corrosion-resistant category. Sprinklers that carry that UL listing or FM approval as a corrosion-resistant go through extensive investigation and testing criteria for insulation and corrosive environments, including a 30-day exposure test, which we'll cover that later in the presentation. Once a sprinkler successfully passes the corrosion testing, it will be classified by UL as UL listed corrosion resistant or by FM as FM approved corrosion resistant for installation in corrosive environments as indicated in the appropriate sprinkler technical data pages and applicable standards. NFPA 25 standards for inspection and testing and maintenance of water-based fire protection systems references when you might have to remove a sprinkler head and replace it when there is a signs of one of the following. So when you go to section 52111 of NFPA 25, it talks about the replacement of sprinklers when you're doing your inspection anytime you find signs of leakage, corrosion detrimental to the sprinkler performance. That could be something like corrosion buildup on a body, a deflector, anything that could impede the distribution pattern, or it could affect the operation of that sprinkler head. It would need to be replaced. And then when you do replace a sprinkler, you would want to find out what that environment is that caused that corrosion and get the proper finish for that environment. If the head has physical damage, you'd replace it. If there's loss of fluid in the glass bulb, heat, response element, loading detrimental to sprinkler performance, paint other than that applied by the sprinkler manufacturer, that is also critical. You cannot apply paint or coatings of any type to stay within the UL listing or FM approval outside the manufacturer. Here's a picture that was taken in 2013, and it shows you a sprinkler that was installed for 5 years in Singapore. This is a chrome sprinkler with a chrome head guard, and you can see how that saltwater environment attacked that finish within just a 5-year period. And we'll talk about what type of sprinklers and selections for that environment as we go. Here's a picture I took last week when I was in St. Louis. This was actually in a hotel hallway, and as you could see, you had rust on the escutcheon, and you could see the corrosion starting to attack the sprinkler head. Viking also came out with a new sprinkler line a couple of years ago. We introduced this, and the nice thing about this sprinkler head, it's called the XT1 series. You'll find it in a variety of applications. It's got a real smooth body on it so that the decorative finish or the corrosion-resistant finish comes out with a real nice aesthetic appealing appearance. It also comes standard with some corrosion-resistant materials such as the deflector, comes in a stainless steel, the pip cap, and the anti-lodgement device. There's a variety of corrosion-resistant options that we offer, such as wax-coated, and that would be a factory-applied special process for the wax. We could go wax over polyester coating, a polyester by itself, electroless nickel, which is an ENT sprinkler, stainless steel glass bulb, and then the new stainless steel solder element type sprinkler. When you look at the UL listings and the approvals for corrosion resistant, you'll find that when you're under the FM guidelines, that you'll find approvals for these sprinklers, as you notice on the left, from the least to the highest resistance, but these are for finish only. The right shows you the UL listing for when we wax coat a sprinkler head. You could have a polyester finish coated. You could also have a standard brass coated. And when you have a wax coating, those are standard response only. Here's a nice chart that we have at Viking that you can pull off our website that shows you the variety of corrosion-resistant sprinklers and can assist you with selecting those sprinklers with the listings and approvals. Now, these apply to the corrosion-resistant characteristics. These heads are UL listed and or FM approved, but for the corrosion-resistant category, you'll notice on the third column from the right, it'll show you that listing for that application. The UL is in the little circle, starts with a polyester sprinkler, and it goes all the way down, if you notice, from poly to the wax, to the ENT, and to the stainless. You'll also notice the diamond, which is the FM. That's the FM approval, and it is only for corrosion-resistant category, FM approved for the ENT coating, the stainless steel glass bulb, and the new stainless steel solder element type sprinkler. This is a special coating that is very resistant to moisture, caustic fume, sun fade, seawater exposure, etc. The pip cap is ENT coated. The bell spring is encapsulated in a hardened Teflon. The two-piece escutcheon has a base metal of 314 stainless steel, and then it is also ENT coated. Typical applications are parking ramps, seawater, exposed instruct elements, etc. The Viking T sprinkler offers a superior level of corrosion resistance compared to other available finishes. ENT sprinklers are thoroughly protected, including the waterway, the screw, the pip cap. The result is a sprinkler that will show little or no evidence of corrosion during its lifetime. When you see one of these ENT type sprinklers, you'll notice that all the components inside and out have that ENT coating. These are ideal for corrosive environments such as industrial washdown areas, very common because of the chemicals that are used for washdown, chemical processing, parking garages, mezzanines, and balconies. Benefits of the ENT plating are their very durable, long-lasting protection that resists scratching, chipping, and flaking that you might find in some of the other finishes. Applied with a non-electric autocatalytic plating process that maximizes durability and anti-adhesion properties. It's FM approved under the Class 2042 Special Protection Sprinkler Corrosion Resistance, aesthetically pleasing and suitable for decorative applications, available on a wide variety of Viking sprinklers. So we do have not only the common sprinklers with this corrosion-resistant ENT approval and listing, but you can find this option for some of our extend coverage sprinklers, some storage, and our residential line has some as well. Viking also offers the ENT coating for our dry barrel sprinklers. They're very popular because of the wet and harsh environments that you'll sometimes find cause rust on, say, a chrome finish type sprinkler head. If you're in a real wet environment, or if you're in an exposed environment where you might have a dry head subject to the environment freezing, that's where you would use a special coating. The ENT coating is available for that, and also the barrel on the Viking sprinkler heads has a UNS G10260 electrodeposited base on it. And that's a real nice finish that comes standard on all of our sprinkler heads, but you'll find it with the ENT option as well. It's very important that when you're selecting the escutcheon to be used with your sprinkler head, that you utilize the same materials. A couple of things you want to make sure of is look at the manufacturer's data, and it'll tell you which heads are listed or approved to be utilized with that sprinkler head. So the sprinkler head and escutcheon is listed as an assembly. You will want to take and get a coating that would match that sprinkler head. So if it's a ENT coated sprinkler head, I recommend that you get an ENT coated escutcheon by the same manufacturer, as well as the, you want to make sure all the coatings are there. Same with stainless sprinkler, you'd want to make sure you get a stainless steel escutcheon to complement that. Now, one of the reasons that's important is you're going in and replacing a sprinkler head because the escutcheon corroded. Let's say you use a regular chrome escutcheon, that would require you to replace that sprinkler head as well, even if the sprinkler head showed no signs of corrosion. The reason for that is NFPA 25 states where sprinkler has been removed for any reason, it shall not be reinstalled. So therefore, you want to make sure you follow that and go with the same material used for that environment. Lab corrosion test. So Viking's electroless nickel ENT sprinkler finish investigation for installation in corrosion environments and is UL listed as corrosion resistant and FM approved Class 2042 specific application sprinkler corrosion resistance, went through a series of testing. The UL 199 30-day corrosion test, it consists of the 30-day 20% salt test, 30-day moist hydrogen sulfide air mixture test, a 30-day moist CO2 sulfur dioxide air mixture test. After these 30-day test is completed, then the sprinkler also is subject to an oven heat sensitive test to verify functionality and operating time of the sprinkler. Here's a picture of a sprinkler head before, and then on the right after it's been through that 90-day exposure test. This is an ENT sprinkler, and as you can see that it shows no signs of corrosion really when you look at that after that 30-day test. If we're in a saltwater environment, a lot of jurisdictions will require that you have a corrosion-resistant type of finish on that sprinkler head because of the saltwater environment that could attack those sprinkler heads, and typically you'll find that in the standards for those coastal communities. You could utilize a polyester type finish or an ENT type finish in those applications. Now, if you're in a saltwater environment or in an environment where you might have sulfuric acids that may attack the sprinkler head, different elements, let's take a coastal community in Hawaii, you would want to utilize what they call an ENT finish. The VOG, VOG that I put up there, that's a term they use. That's a volcanic fog. Instead of fog, it's VOG, and that will attack a polyester finish. So we recommend that you go with an ENT finish with a matching ENT escutcheon. Industrial washdown areas, that is where you might have food processing areas where they use chemicals to clean down the area, and sometimes those chemicals will attack other finishes, including polyester. So we find that the ENT finish stands up to most of the chemicals that are utilized. And you could always check with Viking if you have some type of a chemical that we want to address in that environment. But typically that would be the best application, would be the ENT for that washdown areas. Viking also has a stainless steel glass bulb sprinkler we've had on the market for a few years now. The typical application, again, would be for areas with harsh environments that maybe some of the other finishes would not be suitable for. The VK130 upright and the VK132 pennant are offered with a 5/6 K factor in glass bulb standard response. Viking is now launching the new VK368 stainless steel pennant fusible link. The 8K stainless steel is the first in the industry with a solder link out there, and it's got a standard response element. The fusible link is important for food processing and food service industries. One of the reasons is because the metal link components can be found and accounted for. The stainless steel link has composites made of beryllium nickel and 300 series stainless steel. The sprinkler is non-magnetic. The material standards for this new VK368 stainless steel sprinkler is it has a stainless steel body, a stainless steel deflector, it has a stainless steel seat, and then you have a compression screw with nickel alloy, a bell spring sealing assembly which is made of nickel alloy encapsulated in PTF and coated on both sides with PTF tape. It has a shipping cap of polyethylene, and that sprinkler is available in 161 degrees Fahrenheit, 72 Celsius, and 205 degrees Fahrenheit, 96 Celsius. The 205 degrees will be the temperature that will be required on majority of the applications for these type of sprinklers, and Viking is looking at other temperatures as well. Here's an example of what we're talking about where you have a high demand for stainless steel piping and a very sanitary environment where they're processing food, and they want the stainless steel sprinklers to match. If we had a glass element sprinkler in there, the only concern would be in an activation is getting all those fragments of glass. So the solder link makes it possible to get all the elements once there's an activation out of that processing equipment. You'll be able to find the link and all the components. Listings and approvals. The primary approvals that we're focused on would be the category VNIV, corrosion resistant sprinklers through UL labs. FM approval labs fall under class 2042, special protection sprinkler corrosion resistance. Refer to the approval charts and the design criteria for requirements that must be followed. What that means is if it's UL only type project, you want to refer to your UL and your NFPA standards. Factory mutual properties, you always want to follow the FM standards. when we discuss the FM standards, we basically have the VK368 is FM approved as a special protection pennant sprinkler for corrosive environment and as a standard response non-storage pennant sprinkler as indicated in the FM approval guide. For specific applications and installation requirements, reference the latest applicable FM loss prevention data sheets, including sheets 2-0. FM Global Loss Prevention data sheets contain guidelines relating to, but not limited to, minimum water supply requirements, hydraulic design, ceiling slope, and obstructions, minimum and maximum allowable spacing, and deflector distance below the ceilings. The FM installation guidelines may differ from the UL and the NFPA criteria. The UL listing requirements. The stainless steel standard sprinklers are UL listed as indicated in approval chart 1 for installation in accordance with the latest edition of NFPA 13 for standard spray, uprights, and pennant sprinklers, designed for use in light, ordinary, and extra hazard occupancies. So you have one sprinkler with this 8K that will meet all those occupancies and also the FM standards for H1, H2, H3. Protection areas are maximum spacing shall be in accordance with the tables provided in NFPA 13, and this follows the spacing requirements for the 6 foot, unless you have baffles installed in accordance with NFPA 13. Locate no less than 4 inches from walls. Maximum distance from walls shall be no more than one half the allowable distance between sprinklers. The distance shall be measured perpendicular to the wall. The sprinkler installation and obstruction rules contained in NFPA 13 for standard spray uprights and pennant sprinklers must be followed. These are some of the standard offerings that we have for the corrosion-resistant sprinklers, starting with the wax-coated, the ENT, which is both UL and FM, stainless steel glass bulb, which is UL and FM, and the stainless steel solder link. Viking also offers a variety of valves that complement the corrosion-resistant sprinkler line, such as the Model G Preaction and the Model G Dry, which comes standard with an E-coating inside and out of the valve. So the interior and exterior is E-coated stainless steel bolts. We also have other corrosion-resistant finishes, such as the Halar coating, which you could find as an option on the Viking deluge and flow control valves, both in the E and F series. And you could get special trims if you have a highly corrosive environment, which are available in brass and stainless steel. And now we could field any questions.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Greg. Great presentation. We will take some questions. We've got just a few minutes here. Again, you can go ahead and put your question into the box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Greg, the first one I've got here is, can the VK368 be used as a storage sprinkler?
Yes, if you follow the control modes, it's basically a control mode sprinkler and can be used wherever a control mode sprinkler can be used. NFPA 13 restricts the K8 sprinkler installation to a density of a 0.34 GPM over square feet. So where the density is 0.34 or less, yes, you could utilize this for storage applications.
Okay, next question is, does Viking have plans to expand on the stainless steel link offering to include maybe an upright version?
Good question. Yes, Viking is working on several things, and the upright, we expect to launch for that to be complete, I'd say the second quarter of 2020. We also will be coming out with a 165-degree sprinkler in place of like a 161. That's a more common, the 205 is the most common temperature right now for that element, but we are going to expand on the temperature offerings as well.
Can any escutcheon be used on a corrosion-resistant sprinkler?
Not any type of escutcheon. When you're dealing with any type of sprinkler, you got to make sure that you check the approvals for the escutcheon assembly that's going to be used. If you recess the sprinkler in any type, you're required to have the escutcheon as part of the listing with that sprinkler. So you go to the manufacturer's data for that sprinkler, and you'll see in the Viking data the reference to whether there is a recess escutcheon allowed or not. For example, the E&T, we have a variety of recess that are available, and they're restricted to those. And then with the stainless, the new VK368, we have a flush escutcheon, which we recommend in a stainless steel. You could use non-recessed escutcheons per NFPA 13 as long as you keep the deflector distance a minimum of 1 inch to a maximum of 12 inch from the ceiling.
Okay, thank you. Next one is, did I see that Viking recommends poly-coated for pool environments, and are there escutcheons available with the poly coating as well?
Yes, that is a preferred finish, and yes, it is a poly type paint finish that's available.
Thanks. Can you go a little bit more on the wax coating? What are the procedures for a wax coating on a sprinkler, and can any sprinkler have wax coating added?
Okay, not any sprinkler can be wax coated, and also the wax coating is required to be done by the manufacturer of the sprinkler. There's special process. You cannot do wax coating on your own, or you would void any approvals or listings. The way it's applied is special, and then also when you have a wax coated sprinkler, you will no longer have the quick response approval. So the standard response sprinklers is what's wax coated, and then you do not wax coat a dry barrel type sprinkler because that could impede the activation of that sprinkler due to inherent to a dry type barrel. So you won't have a wax coated dry or a quick response available. And yes, it must be done by the manufacturer.
This one's a little bit off topic, but does Viking have plans to extend the XT1 line to include sidewall sprinklers?
Yeah, I believe that's something that R&D, I'd have to get with on that, but I do believe that is something that we're working on. But the real demand has been in the upright and the standard pinnet versions, and then we have the storage version similar to that XT1 with that special lodgement device in it.
Okay, guys, maybe a couple more here. One is, being that the new VK368 is non-magnetic, is it also listed and approved for MRI room applications?
No, that MRI testing is separate from a UL-FM type testing. The actual take a listed head and they'll test it with the MRI equipment. That has not been conducted with the sprinkler. Really don't see a real demand for that. And that's because most of your MRIs, they want to have the head out of the way of the MRI equipment, the lighting that swings back and forth in those rooms. The Viking does offer a VK462, which is a concealed version and a preferred version that has an MRI rating on that sprinkler, and you can find that in our book. If you just go into the website and type in MRI, that MRI specific sprinkler will pop up.
Excellent, thank you. Well, we just hit our 2:30 mark. We like to keep these right at 30 minutes. So we will end our program here. If we didn't get to your question, we will be able to follow up with you by email separately, so don't worry. And if you do have another question you want to throw in there right now, we'll be sure to get back to you. Gregg, I want to thank you for your presentation and thank everyone who is in attendance today. If you have any additional questions that we weren't able to get to today, please feel free to contact us at any time. The best way to reach us is through your local Viking Supply Net representative. For general questions or you're not sure who to contact, you can use our website's Contact Us form. And as a reminder, you're going to receive a copy of this presentation by email after we're done here today. If you'd like to rewatch this presentation, a recording will be available in the next few days at vikinggroupinc.com/webinar. You can also go there to rewatch any of our presentations from the past or see what's coming up next. Thanks so much for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks, everybody.